few, we happy few, we band of brothers. For he that shed his blood with me shall be my brother. The bard's words, as spoken by Henry V, they had been re-invoked during the war years to inspire unity in the Allies. But the Tuskegee Airmen would return to a country that had not studied its Shakespeare.
I returned in April of 1945 back to the States. Coming down the gangplank with our duffel bags and our paraphernalia, down at the bottom of the gangplank was two great big white signs set up, Negro personnel and white personnel. Now, we weren't treated that way overseas. We were treated as men among men with a combat job to do. And I'm telling you, that buckled my knees. And then further on, to find out that the prisoners of war who had been part of the Axis mites, who were stationed at Fort Dix, had free run of the base. We still had to sit in the theater behind velvet ropes, and they could go to the BX, and there was no segregation for them.
At home during the war, blacks had taken up a double V battle cry, determined to achieve victory over Hitler overseas and over Jim Crow at home. Having secured the first V during the war, the returning airmen were hit with the prospect that they themselves would still have to win the second at home. It's difficult for a man who's one of the best skilled pilots on the planet, who has faced death at 30,000 feet, to believe he's not fit to have a drink at his own base, especially if he saved the life of one of the men at the bar. It's simply not possible for that man to sit at the back of the bus and smile. It's not surprising that blacks of the war generation would create the atmosphere in which a man named Jackie Robinson would steal the home plate of America's favorite pastime, and a young preacher from Atlanta would lead a bus boycott in 1955 in the same Alabama town where 15 years earlier the Tuskegee Airmen took their R&R. The Tuskegee Airmen's contribution to the movement in civil rights was made clear in 1948 when the President of the United States issued Executive Order 9981, which led to the integration of the American military by mandating equal treatment regardless of race. This would provide the foundation for more sweeping civil rights legislation in the decades that followed. That president, whose quick political rise was called a queer accident of democracy by Time magazine, was Harry S. Truman, the ex-senator who helped to get the airmen off the ground.
As I look back upon my life, there was nothing that happened to me that even approaches the experience I had with the Tuskegee Airmen.
Lieutenant General Benjamin Davis, Jr. once remarked that the privileges of being an American belong to those brave enough to fight for them. In a democracy, it is most often the people denied its rewards who assume the duty of upholding its truths, who force it to realize its most wonderful possibilities, since only they can know the real effect of its unkept promises. The Tuskegee Airmen are extraordinary because they know what it means to fight for America, what it means to fight to be an American. They know what it means to fight as a man with the appreciation of the fight it takes to be considered a man. Perhaps best of all, they know what it means to fly, to slip into the blue where all things are possible, where the daydreams of childhood transform into the makings of history.